Madam, you can start now. I think now good number is there. 42.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, so welcome back everyone. So now we'll continue with the first session of this workshop. We'll discuss about the cryptographic primitives, which are the low-level algorithms being used to build cryptographic protocols for a security system. So I request Dr. M. Brinda, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, to discuss about cryptographic primitives and blockchain. Please, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Abhishek. Good morning to one and all present here. Today, what we are going to discuss about is the cryptographic primitives of blockchain, which is very much useful for constructing the blockchain framework. So what I'm going to start with is the basic terminologies about the cryptography. Followed by, I'll be just dealing with the two types of cryptography, that is the symmetric and asymmetric. And we will go in detail about the asymmetric key cryptography, that is the public key cryptography, followed by the digital signature and the hash function, which is very much useful for building the blockchain framework. And I'll be also just touching with the definition of the blockchain and how these cryptographic primitives are useful for the construction of the blockchain framework. So this is what I'm going to deal with today. So am I audible? My voice is clear. Participants?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. So let me share my screen and then we can discuss further. Are you able to view my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe I need to record this. Abhishek, are you recording this session?
No, ma'am. Only you can or the host can record the session.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, recording only, ma'am.
It is under recording only.
Recording cloud only, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Okay,
Then I can start the session, right, directly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Participants, you are able to view my screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So what we are going to deal today is about the cryptography primitives for blockchain. So now we are living in an information age. Actually, like any other assets we are dealing with, like what we are just having as important in our real-time examples, like what we have, like the jewelries, or what we have, the important documents we are just putting into the lockers and all those things. Information also is a very much important asset that need to be deals with. And we are just living in a cyber world, and most of the information are transmitted over the internet, and we need to secure this information like any other asset we are just protecting. So here, whenever we are just transmitting our information throughout the network, definitely we need to secure the information in various ways. Not only the data we need to secure, while not only in there are two ways in which the information can be secured. So either in terms of the storage, or while transmission we need to secure the information. So here, cybersecurity, if I am just dealing with, so there are various kind of attacks that may be, the information may be prone to, like the information may be threatened by the viruses or worms, okay, that we are just, while just transferring the information or during the storage of our information also. And there may be various kind of attacks, attackers that may follow our information to steal with. And there are various passive or active attacks, and also the man in the middle attack, denial of service attacks. Okay, so many attacks are. So here we are just dealing with. So here we are exposing with. So to just overcome these kind of attacks, we need to secure our information. So here normally what we will do is, so if we are just having a very valuable assets in our house, what we will do, we will just secure the valuable asset by means of just locking the valuable assets in the bureau or almirah. Or what we will do, we are going outside the house. If we want to just secure our important asset, valuable asset, then we will lock the door and we will leave. So here likewise, if we want to secure our information, then can we put a lock over the computer? So that way only we are just going to deal with different techniques like cryptography and all those things to change the information, whatever we are just need to secure in order to convey the information to the attacker in a very unmeaningful form. So that way only we can secure our information. So here what we are going to deal here is about the cryptography and its types. So where we can secure our information, and slowly we will move on to the public key cryptography techniques, and then the digital signature and the hashing techniques, and how these cryptographic primitives are applied in the blockchain. So these things only we are going to deal with now. So here, like the data what we are going to secure by means of various cryptography techniques, there are various levels in the networks also. So here, like the valuable assets, if we want to just maintain, then what we will do, not only if we are going for a very far away place, okay, then what we will not only we will lock our main door, we will lock the individual rooms and we will go. So likewise, if we want to secure our information for a very highly secure application, so maybe some noise is there.
Abhishek,
Ravi
Abhishek,
sir
you
is
can
unmuted.
Yeah.
unmute there. Abhishek, you can unmute Ravi Chandran. Okay, madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. So if you want to just go for a very far away place, and if you want to secure our valuable asset, then what we will normally do is not only we will just lock our main door, we will lock the individual rooms also. So in such cases, this is applied to the security scenario also. How we are going to do is not only we will secure our information, we will secure our information during transmission also in the network layers, in various layers of the security. So like if we will be applying the security in the TCP layer, also in the IP layer, and also in the DNS, okay, application layer. So all these layers, the security is applied over, okay. So it depends on the application what we are choosing. If we are going for a very highly secure application, then we will just move on to a very simple encryption logic. Like in Microsoft Word document, if I need to secure my information, normally we will use the encryption for protecting our own document. This is with respect to storage wise, we can think it of. So if we want to secure our information in our computer, no one should view the corresponding contents in the documents. Then what normally we will do is we will protect our document by means of some password, and then we will keep it aside. So only the person, one owner who will be knowing the corresponding password will be able to view the document. So this is a simple way of encryption. So if we are going for a very high level encryption, so then what we need to do is, so not only we need to protect the information we are having inside a file, during the transmission also it should be protected. So during the transmission, how we can protect is by means of the TCP layer. So we will be having the very well-known protocol, that is the SSL protocol, in which all the information that we are sending through the internet will be in a secure manner. So if we are just going for sending the document, okay, that needs to be protected, you know, that is, we will be using the HTTPS. Okay, S stands for the security of the information, what we are just communicating to the sender and the receiver side. So in such cases, we'll be using the SSL layer security, in which we'll be able to protect the information during transmission also, and it is applied for various layers also. So IPsec protocol is there for securing in the IP layer, and DNSSEC is there for DNS security. So likewise, the information what we are just sending throughout the internet, okay, will be, we are much more confident that the information will not be leaked over the internet. So this way, the cryptography plays a main role for protecting our information. Now, yeah. So this way, so there are 3 security goals to achieve this information to be in a secure manner. So first one is the confidentiality, and the second one is the integrity, and third one is the availability. So these are all the 3 security goals. Normally, to protect our information from any unauthorized users or the attackers, okay, we can say. So first one is the confidentiality. So the information what we are just communicating, okay, it needs to be hidden from the unauthorized access. That means, so what we are communicating to the intended receiver, okay, the information that need to be communicated to the intended receiver should be known what we are conveying. So the intermediator who is viewing the particular information intermediately should not be know what the information is. That means we need to convey the information, we need to convert the information in an intangible form, so that other people who is not authorized and who is not the intended receiver cannot be able to know what the information is. Okay. So that way, that is called as the confidentiality. The information needs to be hidden from the unauthorized access. One such technique that can be used for assuring this confidentiality is the encryption technique. Okay. So we know encryption is nothing but the method or technique in which we can convert the message into intangible form. So intermediaries cannot be able to know what actually the message is. Okay. So that is termed as confidentiality. And the second important goal is the unauthorized change. Okay. So that is told to be integrity. Only the authorized person can edit the particular information or edit the particular document what is intended for the receiver. Okay. So if both the sender and the receivers are authorized person to view and as well as can edit the particular document, so they can change the particular file or the document or the information. Only the authorized persons are able to change. Okay. So other people who is not intended to change the particular information should not be able to change. Okay. So that is called as the integrity. Any modification of the data should be done only by the authorized users. So that is termed as integrity. And finally, availability. So if we are just having a very secure system, okay, for example, in a bank. So the customers, okay, will be should be able to view the bank statement, okay, view the bank statement at a particular instant of time. So here customer is also a part of a bank, and whenever they need to know the bank statement, they need to access the particular bank statement and they need to view. So the data should be available for the authorized users. Okay. So, but there will be some levels in which the information can be accessed. So the same environment, we can take it over in the banking environment. So there will be a managerial manager post and then the clerical post, and as well as the customers will be there in the bank. So we cannot give the same rights or access that are given to the manager to the clerical staff. Also, it cannot be expected to have the same access to the customers also. So they will be having their own access rights. The manager will have the own access rights and the clerical staff will have his own access rights, and also the customer will have his or her own rights to view the particular document. So using the particular access rights of given to the particular persons or the entities that are involved in the corresponding application, okay. So the data should be readily available for the particular person based on the access rights. So the manager can be able to view and as well as edit the particular data or information, and clerical will be having a very less opportunity for dealing with the data, and the customers can only access the particular data. Okay, he cannot edit or modify the particular data. So, but the information should be readily available to the authorized person when it is needed. So that is called as available. Even if we are just giving a very secure environment and we are not giving access to the data, then it is not correct. So in such cases, we need to give the availability of the information to all the users. So that is termed as the availability. And then, okay, so this is the taxonomy of the security goals, what we have discussed, and the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So these security goals need to be addressed by any kind of security mechanisms or services. So here, this one only we have discussed, okay, about the confidentiality and also the integrity, also the availability. So it is given in both. And the examples of the security requirements, if I am talking about, so confidentiality. So here the student grades, what we are just dealing with, okay. So the information what the faculty is entering, okay, that should be in an encrypted form so that others cannot, that is unauthorized person cannot view the particular data. So this is very good example for confidentiality. And integrity, patient information. So the patient information is very much sensitive. So if we are just having a lab report of a patient and some data, little bit modification of the data is there, then it may lead to a wrong medicinal advice for the corresponding patient. So it should not be done. So in such cases, the integrity of the data, the patient information need to be maintained well. That is, there should not be any modification of the data. So that is a very good example for the integrity. And the availability and the authentication services are both interrelated together. So here authentication service is just giving the access for the available. It is making the availability of the data to the users only for the authenticated persons. So, and also the admission ticket. So only the authenticity here also it is used interchangeably, the availability and as well as the authenticity. Only for the authentic persons, the information should be available. So the authentication service and the admission ticket, so both are very good examples for the availability and authenticity. And finally, another one important term is the non-repudiation. So the very good example is Stark cell order. So we'll be dealing with the non-repudiation also in the blockchain framework very well, and also the digital signature. So the idea behind non-repudiation is, so here we can have a very good example of the e-commerce website. In e-commerce website, that is the Stark cell order or in the e-commerce website, if a corresponding customer has posted a request for a particular item, okay, and later he denies that I haven't requested the particular item. So that is called as the non-repudiation in the sender side. As well as in the receiver side, we can talk about. So here the customer has paid something for an item, but in the receiver side, okay. So like any e-commerce website, we can say in the receiver side, they can tell that I haven't received the payment for the corresponding item. So this is called as the non-repudiation. So here That may be in the sender side or it may be in the receiver side also. So the sender has requested some item, but later he denies the request that I haven't requested the particular item. So this is one for non-repudiation. And the second thing is in the receiver side. So here the sender has paid for the particular item and the receiver has later denies that the sender hasn't paid for the particular item. So this is a very good example for non-repudiation. These things should not happen. Okay, these things should not happen while dealing about the security of the information or any kind of application what we are just using for. So the very good technique that is used for implementation of the security goal is the cryptography technique. So this is the most important technique, and we can start with the basic of the cryptography technique, and we can move on to the public key and as well as the digital signature. So cryptography is nothing but the secret writing. So here we need to transform the message so that we can make them secure and also immune to attacks. And this is a very classical cryptography technique that is the Caesar cipher, in which the plain text is converted into the ciphertext. So it is nothing but a transformation of the message into some intangible form. You can see here the plain text attack at dawn is converted to some intangible form. So only with the attacker point of view or the cryptanalyst point of view will be able to know how secure this information is conveyed. Okay, but for a normal people, if something is looked on to here, how the plain text is converted into the ciphertext, so we'll not be just having any kind of information like, so how this information, the plain text is converted to ciphertext. Simply how they will view is some intangible text we are able to view. Okay, so that only we'll be able to know from this ciphertext. So, but while just if I am just talking about the cryptanalyst point of view, then it is a very simple cipher in which you can see this is simply we are just moving the letters, 3 letters ahead. Okay, so suppose here, for A, what we are just replacing is with the letter D. Okay, 3 letters apart. Similarly, for T, we are just replacing with W. Okay, so it is a very simple cipher that is just introduced by the Caesar, Julius Caesar. So it is shifted by a certain number of places down the alphabet, simply. Okay, so to convert a message into some intangible form. So like that it is converted. So this has many drawbacks and all those things that we are not dealing with right now. Okay, so but we can have a basic terminology of this cryptography. So plain text is nothing but the message that need to be converted into intangible form. Encryption is nothing but the algorithm, or it is also called as encipher, for encoding the message. Algorithm that is used here, the algorithm is very simple. In this Caesar cipher, it is nothing but shifting the letters down 3 letters apart. Okay, so that is a very, and it is a circular shift. Okay, so like that it is used. Okay, this is a very simple algorithm that is used for converting the plain text into the ciphertext. Ciphertext is nothing but the encrypted message, and finally decryption, or it is also called as the decipher, is known as decoding the ciphertext to get the plain text back. So these are all the various terminologies that are used for under cryptography. So in which while after converting, there should be a decryption algorithm. Here we need to know encryption should be reversible. So otherwise we cannot get the message back. Okay, like there is one more cryptography primitive like hash function, which is a one-way function that we will deal later. So, but here the encryption should be reversible so that there should be a decryption algorithm, okay, to get the plain text back. So here now I'll be giving a simple example for you to solve. So this way, normally we will be having some messages through WhatsApp that if we are given these kind of values and all those things, try to solve this. So this is also related to a cryptography technique. Okay. So that is what I am just asking you, the participants, to solve this puzzle. Okay. So can you solve and tell me the answer? Participants, are you there? Yeah. So what is the answer for this? Can I get the answer? Is this much more hard? Yes. Is it much more hard to solve? Yeah. What is the answer? Okay, 25.6. Okay. Yeah. 326 or 325.6. What is the answer? What is the correct answer? 326 or 324. So points are not coming. Yeah. The answer is 326.846. Okay. So I have received through chat the answer. $324 point. What is the answer? $326. Okay, fine. So the answer is actually, yeah, this one. So here how it is related also I can tell you. So here, what is this algorithm? Here only cryptography plays a main role. You can see I have given some 4 values. Okay. Initially, I have given 4 values. That is 5 plus 3 plus 2 is 151.022 and 9 plus 2 plus 4 is 183.652 and some other 2 values also I have given. So now if I am giving some input message, you are able to find out the result. Okay. This way the attacker will do. This is a very good example for the known plain text attack. Okay. That means we have been given the plain text and the ciphertext pairs. Okay. So please understand the terminologies. Plain text is the input message and the ciphertext is the output message that we are just getting out from the encryption algorithm. So here what I have been given over here is the plain text and the ciphertext pairs. Okay. And this is a very good example for what? Known plain text. Okay. Known plain text attack. So in which the plain text and ciphertext pairs will be given to the attacker and he'll be given a plain text. Okay. So given a ciphertext, he need to get the plain text, but here it is the reverse case. Okay, it is okay. Now what you are doing here is you are devising the algorithm. Okay, how it is done. So algorithm here it is simple only. What it is done, simply the first two numbers we need to multiply to get the first two numbers of the result. Okay, and then we need to multiply the first and third number to get the next two numbers of the result. Okay, and then what we need to do is we need to add these two results. Okay, that is 15 plus 10, which is nothing but 25. Okay, and then we need to subtract with the middle number to get the result. Okay, subtract with the middle number to get the result. So that way it is done. And once you apply with all the plain text and or the ciphertext pairs, okay, you are verifying that it is correct. Okay, and then you are applying to the given input and you are able to get the result back. Okay, that is the result we are able to get here as 32, 56, 84. That means, okay, while just getting the result, we will be able to get 325.684. So now what we are doing here in the attacker point of view, we have been given some plain text and ciphertext pair, and what you are doing, you are devising the algorithm. The algorithm is simple, simply multiplication of some numbers and then subtraction, and then this is the algorithm you are writing, and this way this is producing a meaningful result. And finally, given a plain text or given a ciphertext, then we'll be able to get the message back. Okay, so that way only the attacker will work on. Okay, now you can understand with this what is known as the plain text and what is the algorithm and how it is transformed to the ciphertext. Okay, so here we are playing with the numbers. Normally the messages what we will be having is a normal text that will be converted into intangible form. Okay, so this here say if I am giving a password, then how to decode. Okay, and also if I am giving some message, how to decode. Okay, so that depends upon the algorithms. Okay, what we are just using. So we can use some symmetric key algorithms, or we can use some asymmetric key algorithms. Okay, symmetric key algorithms are very much useful for converting the message into some intangible form. Okay, so that the other people cannot be able to understand, because it uses many shuffling and as well as diffusion techniques and also substitution techniques to just make the message intangible. Okay, so here if I am dealing with a very small letter or sentence or small words or something like that, okay, it may be very much useful. Okay, it may be very much easy for the attacker to decode it. Given this one, okay, given this kind of messages, okay, which is in the encrypted form. So you see the difficulty how we can decode this message into the plain text. Okay, you can see some special characters are included and numbers are include numerical values, and also the alphabetical values, alphanumerical values, all those are incorporated over here. And now this is very much difficult for the attacker to decode this. Okay, so this how we need to maintain the secrecy of the message what we are just going to convey to the receiver end. Okay, so that is the job of the cryptography technique, to convert the message into some unmeaningful form. Okay, so normally encryption and decryption, what we will do here, this message will be given to the encryption algorithm to get the ciphertext, and then to get the message back, which should be fed to the decryption algorithm to get the original message back. Okay, so these two terms should be reversible so that we'll be able to get the original message back. And now, okay, in the classical crypto system, there is no way of dealing with keys. Okay, here, but in the nowadays, okay, in modern algorithms and all, without key, nothing is possible. Okay, so earlier what they did is they rely on the algorithm only in the classical crypto system. Means in the earlier okay, 1900s or something. So the persons who need to secure their information, just what they did is they rely on the algorithm. They make the algorithm secret. So, but nowadays what we are doing is we won't make the algorithm secret. The algorithm is public. Say if we are having the AES algorithm, we are having the DES algorithm. All those algorithms we are having, symmetric key algorithms, all the algorithms are public, right? Okay, we know the procedure, how the message is transformed. Okay. The only thing what we will make secret is the keys. By means of that keys only, the entire message is transformed. The algorithm is public, it is known to everyone, and we are relying on the secrecy of the key to transform the message into some intangible form. Okay. Now the algorithms and keys play an important role for securing the information. In this example, that is the classical crypto system, we don't have keys. Okay, in this diagram, you can see there is no keys over here. But the next, whatever the algorithm used nowadays, that relies on the secrecy of the key only, not the algorithm. Because it is very difficult to remember, to maintain the secrecy of the algorithm if the algorithm is very hard. If the algorithm is very hard only, we can secure our entire information like what we used here. Okay, this algorithm is very simple, right? Okay, this algorithm we itself by using by just calculations, okay, within 2 minutes we are able to solve this kind of algorithm. Okay, the algorithm, if I am making very secret and if I am able to get some pairs of the plain text or ciphertext, we'll be able to crack the algorithm, right? Okay, so it is not that much secure. So what we need to do here is we need to go for making the algorithm public and the keys should be kept secret. Okay, so that is the logic behind the modern symmetric ciphers, okay, which relies on the key. And here also the other terminologies what we are using, the plain text, ciphertext algorithm, and also the what encryption decryption algorithm remains same. Only addition what we are doing here is key is added over here. So this key has the entire control over the encryption and decryption process. So it will make the message completely different for any kind of small change in the key. Okay, so even though algorithm is made public, if we are changing a simple bit, okay, very single bit in the key, we'll be having a very drastic change in the corresponding encrypted message. Okay, so that way only we are maintaining the secrecy of the message nowadays. So here now we are having 5 ingredients. Okay, in the classical crypto system, only 4 we had without the key. Now we have the 5 ingredients: plain text, encryption algorithm, key, ciphertext, and the decryption algorithm. Here we are relying on the secrecy of the key and not the secrecy of the algorithm. So here additionally one component is introduced along with the encryption algorithm, that is the key, to convert the plain text into some intangible form. So that is the ciphertext over here. So the key-based encryption, one more component we are adding over the encryption algorithm, K1 and K2 here, to produce the ciphertext. And also in the decryption, we'll be applying the key to get the original message back. Okay. So here in the key-based encryption and decryption, so there are 2 types. So symmetric case and the asymmetric case. If both keys are same, that means if the encryption and the decryption uses the same key, then it is called as the symmetric key cryptography, and the asymmetric key, both keys are different. Okay. So so here like that we can differentiate between the symmetric and the asymmetric key cryptography. So types of cryptography, this is a very broad type. Okay, we can say that is the basic division, okay, in which the cryptography techniques can be classified. That is symmetric key cryptography and the asymmetric key cryptography. Like secret, it is also called the secret key cryptography, that is the symmetric key cryptography, only one key will be there, and public key cryptography, 2 keys will be there. That is the public for encryption and private for decryption. Okay. So this way, the types of cryptography we can say. First, we see simple things about secret key cryptography, and we can move on to the public key cryptography. As I mentioned, okay, we'll be having key 1, K1 and K2 over here, and if both are same, then we say that it is secret key cryptography. Now, the problem with the secret key cryptography. What is the problem with this secret key cryptography? Any idea? Participants? Are you able to hear us? Yeah.
Security of key.
Security of the key. Okay. What do you mean by security of the key?
So when we share
Yeah.
key, it may be hacked.
Yeah. So while so if we need to know a way, okay, how to share the key securely to the receiver. Okay. So you can see over here, we are encrypting the message with key K. Okay. And then this key need to be transferred to the receiver side for decryption, for further decryption. So here, how we can share? That is the main problem. How we can share? So can we share along with the message? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay, we can share the key through the channel what we are sending the message. Okay, like that also we can share. But the problem is any attacker, because here we are not relying on the algorithm right now. Okay, algorithm is made public. Only thing we can rely on is here key only. If we are sharing the key through the unsecure channel, like what the message is conveyed to the actual message is conveyed to the receiver, because even here, since the channel is not that much secure only, we are encrypting the message and we are sending. Okay, in that particular channel itself, we can't send the key. Okay, we need to go for an additional channel where we can just send the key securely. Okay, so that is additional cost. Okay, that may incur additional cost for sending the key to the receiver. Okay, so that is one point. And another thing is, so how many participants, okay, how many receivers we need to send? If we want to send to multiple receivers, how we can send the key? Okay, so here these are all the problems with the secret key cryptography. So
secret key cryptography means symmetric one, right, ma'am?
Yeah, symmetric key cryptography.
Right, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So here, these are all the problems with the secret key cryptography. Okay. So what we can go for is, that's what we just go for another cryptography technique, that is asymmetric key cryptography, to just share the secret key. Here, if we are just sending the key over the channel, which is not secure, then attacker can easily trap the particular key, and using the key, he can decrypt the message what we are conveying to the receiver. Okay, that problem may rise. Okay, so we need to securely transmit the key to the receiver so that the attacker intermediately cannot receive the particular key. Okay, that is the main concern towards the secret key cryptography. So here, it is also called a single key algorithm or symmetric key algorithms or secret key algorithms. And there are 2 types of secret key algorithms. That is stream ciphers and as well as the block ciphers. Stream cipher means we will be able to just work on the single bit or byte at a particular time. Okay. So like if I am going for real-time transmission of data, like HTTPS and all those things, we are transmitting the data, right? Okay. In that, what we will do, make use of it is the stream ciphers only. It will just encrypt the data bit by bit or byte by byte. Okay. So that way the stream ciphers are useful. Whereas the block cipher, if I am talking about, it will be used for encrypting the databases. If I am going for transferring the file or documents, okay, then we need to encrypt the data as a whole. Okay. So in such cases, the block ciphers will be useful. it will operate on blocks. Okay, it will take some 64-bit of data or 128 bits of data as a group of data. It will work on, and then it will just convert the message into intangible form. So the AES algorithm, DES algorithms, all those comes under the block ciphers, whatever the, and the stream ciphers, RC4 algorithm is a very good example. So the disadvantage, as I have mentioned, is the key exchange and also management of the keys. Okay, who will manage the key? Okay, so these drawbacks will occur in the secret key cryptography. Then you may just wonder, okay, why we need to go for the secret key cryptography then? Can we go for public key cryptography itself? So because since there is no problem with sharing the keys in the public key cryptography, and also, here we no need to, in order to just encrypt the information, directly we can go for public key cryptography mechanism. So then why there is a need for secret key cryptography? So you may think in that way, but each and every cryptography techniques, okay, that is the secret key as well the public key cryptography has its own pros and cons. So here the advantage of this secret key cryptography is it is fast, okay, compared to the public key cryptography. That means here we are just relying on the shuffling techniques and substitution techniques and all those things, which is very much simple compared to the complex mathematical operations that are involved in the public key cryptography. So here in the secret key cryptography, you can see, you can think about the AES algorithm. It is having 16 rounds, various permutation blocks, substitution blocks, and all those things. Even though the algorithm looks very hard, okay, it is very much easier to apply on any data. Okay, it is, and also it is very fast compared to the public key cryptography, which involves a very hard mathematical primitives. Okay, so that's what we prefer secret key cryptography for encryption of the text or data, and for transferring the keys we rely on the public key mechanisms. So this way only it is very much useful. Okay, because here the problem what we face towards the secret key cryptography is only we need how we can send the keys, okay, to the receiver. That problem will be solved by the public key cryptography. Okay, but we cannot apply the public key cryptography for encryption of the data because it is not fast at all. Okay, it is not fast. So for encryption we go for the secret key cryptography, that is the symmetric key cryptography, and for solving the problem of transferring the keys we rely on the public key cryptography. So this way we use the secret key cryptography, and this is a illustration of the private key. Also it is called as symmetric key. Okay, more terminologies are used. Okay, symmetric, private key, single key, and also secret key, all comes under, all denote the symmetric key crypto system only. Okay, private key crypto system which is symmetric. Okay, same secret key will be shared. Okay, and this is also the notation what we are just using. Okay, and these are all the issues. Okay, what we discussed, how the key is managed, how many number of keys will be required for transferring to some multiple receivers are there. So if 2 parties are there, the single key is enough. And if we are going for 3 parties, then 3 keys are needed. 4 parties, 6 keys are needed. Okay, so you can see how it is communicate to all the parties I'm talking about. Okay, so in general, okay, we need P into P minus 1 by 2 keys, okay, that are required for communication among all the parties that are involved, okay, for the transmission of the data. Okay, so this is the issue what we have.
Sorry,
with respect to the,
sorry, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt, ma'am.
Yeah,
I just
sure.
wanted to know that why different keys are needed for, like there are 3 parties, so same key cannot work for all the other 2.
So, but we need to just convey that information. No? So for that only, how many messages we need to transfer
Okay,
between them.
okay. Number
Yeah.
of messages. Okay,
Yeah,
ma'am.
number of messages. Okay. If
Right.
it is, okay, as you told, same key can also be used, but it may be
Okay.
vulnerable to attack. If different keys are used and how many messages we need to convey. Anyhow, okay, we need to convey the key to other party. Okay, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so these are all the, yeah. So these are all the issues that are faced with the symmetric key mechanisms. Okay. But, okay, what are all the assurance that are given by the secret key cryptography or the symmetric key cryptography? Confidentiality is assured. Okay. Can we define what is confidentiality? What is confidentiality? Because these security goals we need to know every time. Otherwise, we cannot go for a very good security course and all those things. Okay, confidentiality and these terminologies are very much important. So confidentiality.
The contents are known by sender and receiver only, maybe.
Okay, yeah. So the content should be known by the sender and the receiver. How it can be done? By means of encryption. Okay.
Yes.
So that means, yeah, we are converting the message into some way, interpreting in different ways, so that only the sender and the receiver will be able to know what actually the message, okay, by means of the key. Okay. And then authentication, it is nothing but the identity of the person. Okay. How we can just ensure the identity of the person. So here authentication, maybe we can use the challenge and response protocol. So the challenge and response protocol is nothing but simple like what we have in the what ATM. Okay, ATM card we are having. We are just scratching the ATM card and it is asking a challenge for us. Okay, the challenge is nothing but it is asking the PIN number. Okay, and we are solving that. Okay, we are responding to that. We are solving with the PIN number. And once it is resolved, we are able to access the mechanism and we are able to just get the cash or whatever we need. Okay. So this is nothing but a challenge and response protocol. How the authentication is done. There are various authentication mechanisms available like biometric and all those things. So those have its own in the way of solving the authentication thing. Okay. And then the third one is the integrity. The messages should not be tampered with. Okay, that means it should not be modified or changed. If it is changed, it should be done by the authorized persons. Okay, so that way the integrity is maintained. And finally, the non-repudiation. So these things are maintained. These things are done. Okay, you think it of by means of cryptography technique. Okay, I have converted a particular message into some intangible form. Say for example, secret. Okay, I'm having it is converted into ILJMN. Okay, so it is a very meaningless message. Okay, what we are just conveying to. Okay, which is in encrypted form. Now, confidentiality, how it is achieved. So the main aim of confidentiality is the message should be hidden. Okay, the message should be hidden. So instead of secret, I am conveying the message with this way. Okay, ILJMN, so which is hidden. Okay, so that way confidentiality is achieved. Second one is authentication. Okay, how authentication is achieved? So by means of key. Okay, who can just view the particular message? The sender or the receiver. Okay, he can only use the person who owns the particular key. The person who owns the particular key can view the particular message. So this way, we are authenticating the sender and the receiver, okay, to view the message. The identity of the person, we are just checking. Whoever owns the secret key, we are just making as an authentic person, and we are making them to view the particular message. Okay, that way the authentication is achieved over here. And third one is integrity. Who can modify the message? The person who knows the key can just view the message and also he can just modify. Okay, so this way the integrity is maintained. So that means the owner of the key and the person whom he trusts to send the message. Okay, and by sharing the key, So those people can only modify the message. So that way the integrity of the message is assured over here. And finally, non-repudiation. So this assurance cannot be given by means of secret key cryptography. Non-repudiation, earlier we talked about, that means with an example of the e-commerce, the sender has asked some request in the e-commerce website and later deny that I haven't sent the request. And also the e-commerce website, so the sender has, the consumer, okay, the customer has paid some money for buying some item, but later the website has later denied that you haven't paid the corresponding, paid for the corresponding item. So this way the non-repudiation happens, but this assurance is cannot be given by the secret key mechanism, because we don't know here in case of secret key, how we are maintaining the authenticity of the message is the person who owns the secret key. The person who owns the secret key, that person is told to be authentic, okay? But we don't know who is the person is actually, okay? We cannot just verify the particular person. We can verify the source of the sender and source of the receiver. That way we can authenticate, okay? But we cannot actually know who is the person is, okay? Without that, we cannot assure that is the non-repudiation cannot happen in the secret key. So the one way for assuring the non-repudiation is the public key cryptography, and that is very much useful in the blockchain terminologies also to maintain the non-repudiation of the message. Okay, so that we can see in the further slides how we can just ensure the non-repudiation, ensure repudiation by means of public key cryptography also. So this way, when the example what we have discussed right now, okay, the scenarios and all those things, okay, how the non-repudiation can be handled, okay, so that we can deal with the public key cryptography. So now here we are into the public key cryptography right now. Here we are going to use two keys, public key and the private key, okay, two keys we are going to use. So here, if we want to just encrypt a message, okay, encrypt a message, what we can do is we can use the receiver's public key to encrypt the message, and this key no need to be transferred, okay, no need to send. Earlier, what we need to do is we need to establish a secret between them, okay. But after that, okay, by means of the secret, the keys can be derived. Okay, that is the main advantage of the public key cryptography. So here we will just encrypt the message using receiver's public key. And if we want to just decrypt the data, then we can use the receiver. Only the person who can decrypt the data is person who owns the private key of the corresponding public key, and he's none other than the receiver, and he can use his own private key for decryption of the data. So the best example, simple example, what we can tell is our email, okay. So here what we can do is how we will send to another person the mail, okay. We need to know the email address of the person, okay, which is made public. So here not all the addresses in the world we will be able to know, okay. So we will be able to know certain addresses of the known persons only, right, okay. Even though it is made public, all the addresses are made public only, email addresses are made public only, but we will be able to know only the person we are interested on, okay. Some group of people only will be able to know. So that's why the certificates and all those things, public key infrastructure and also the certificates and all those things will look on, okay. We are not going into detail about that, only some portion of the public key, okay, or the portion of the email addresses we'll be able to know, and we will just get the public address of that, okay, and using that we will send the mail, and person who can open the message is nothing but how he will open the message. He will type his own password. So it is nothing but the private key. Okay, it is nothing but the private key. He will type his the public address, and then he will type his private key, and he will be able to open the message. So this is a very simple example we can talk about, okay, with respect to the public key cryptography. And also I can tell another example, but it is not that much correlated, okay, but the thing is we are using the lockers, okay. How two keys can be used? For that, I'm normally in our, as I told, for securing our valuable assets, what we will do, we will lock our rooms and also the main doors and also the bureau, almirah and all those things, okay. How we will do that? Will be only a single key for a particular lock, okay, for a single key for a particular lock. If I am going for a bank lockers, okay, then there will be two keys, okay. You all know, okay, two keys. One key will be available public, okay, with the bank person, and one key will be private to me. And what we can do is both persons should be there, okay. The manager will open the key half, and then I need to open with my key half to open the entire locker, okay. So but in that public banking locker mechanism, both keys are involved for encryption and decryption, okay. But in case of this example in the public key cryptography, two keys are used, but public key is used for encryption and private key is used for decryption, okay. So that is the difference. But both applications, both scenarios use two keys, okay. So in that it is very much related together, okay. So the public key cryptography, there are two keys for every user, private key and public key. Public key is made public to everyone, and private key is known to only the person, and he'll be able to use that for decrypting the corresponding message, okay. And how it is useful to transfer the key, okay, to securely transmit the key. So only the sender and the receiver should know the secrets, okay, secrets between them, and they will generate the key to their own, okay. They no need to transfer the key through the channel, okay. So that is the advantage of the public key cryptography, how it can be used for transferring the session key for the corresponding session, okay. In the SSL and all, that is the secure socket layer, which is involved in HTTPS, okay. Normally the data what we are transmitting will be encrypted by means of the symmetric key crypto system, and then later we will make use of the public key cryptography, and for each data encryption, okay, a session key is created, that is nothing but the secret key that is used for encrypting the data, and this session key will be transmitted through the channel by means of public key mechanism, okay. So we no need to transfer the key. Simply what we need to have is each and every people will share the secret initially, and using that secret, the sender and the receiver will itself create the session key, okay. They won't transfer it, okay. So that is the advantage of the public key cryptography for transferring the keys. Both will be used together to build a very good crypto system, okay. So the establishing the shared key is secret, okay. So here we no need to share the key as like whatever the problems we discussed before with respect to secret key cryptography. So by means of the establishment of the shared secret, the secret key can be derived, which is used for encryption and decryption of the session key. And further, by using the session key, we'll be able to get the data, okay. So here, now how the public key cryptography is working is, so the Alice, suppose Alice has a channel for communication too. Normally Alice and Bob are nothing but the sender and the receiver in the cryptography terminology. So Alice and Bob, and Eve is nothing, here is the attacker, okay. In the cryptography terminologies, we'll be make use of the Alice and Bob and also Eve. Alice, Bob are the sender and the receiver. Eve is the attacker. So now the problem statement here in the public key cryptography is some channel is there for communication between the sender and the receiver. So this channel can be used to establishing the secret, okay, only the shared secret, okay, between them. But attacker can learn everything, okay, that is sent through this channel. But this, by using this shared secret, Eve does not know anything because he don't know how to get the secret key out of it, okay. So here, if he is not having, the Alice and Bob is not having any channel to use, this shared secret cannot convey any useful information to the attacker because she doesn't know how to create the key itself, okay. So this is the main idea behind the public key cryptographic algorithms. It work behind finding a very hard math problem. So it is easy to compute in the forward direction, but it is difficult to solve in the reverse direction. So it is almost one way function. But given a trapdoor, okay, it is easy to solve the function, okay. So here, even though it is a one-way function, that means you can take an example like in the factorization problem, that is n equal to p into q. Okay, two prime numbers that is multiplied to get a number n, okay. So it is easy if p and q is provided to find the value n, okay. But given n, it is very much difficult to find the values of p and q. That is nothing but the factorization problem, which is a NP-hard problem. It is very difficult to solve. If I am just choosing a prime number which is very large, that is, even if we are just using a 2048 bit or something like that, it is even more difficult for solving the particular problem. Okay, so that is the idea behind the public key cryptography algorithms. It is easy to compute in the forward direction. Okay, like the factorization problem, what I have mentioned over here, n equal to p into q. It is very much difficult, okay, to solve, okay, in the reverse direction. So similarly, the modular arithmetic normally we'll be just using over here is y equal to x power e mod n, okay. It is easy to find out in the forward direction, given x, e and n, to find out the value of y, okay. And similarly, given y, e and n, okay, it is very much difficult to find out the value of x, which is called as the discrete logarithm problem. And this is the idea behind the public key cryptographic algorithms also. So, but given a trapdoor, okay, it is easy to find out the value of x, okay. That is, we need to get the value of some e dash, okay. Okay, that is e dash cross e is equal to 1 mod n, okay. Then we'll be, that is nothing but the trapdoor that is given. By using that, it is very much easy to get the value of x. So based on this principle, that is a hard math problem only, the public key cryptographic algorithm works on. So that is what it is told to be very much difficult. It is not simple as such, the symmetric key algorithms, which include a very vast algorithms and all those things, but it is very much difficult, okay, to get the value in the reverse direction. So the general strategy towards this public key cryptography is, so the public key is used to encrypt a message that can only be decrypted by the matching private key. So if you want to send some message, okay, to the receiver, then that means, if you want to send the message from Bob to Alice, okay, then he can, because since the Alice public key is made public, he can use that public key to encrypt the message. The only person who can be able to decrypt the message is only Alice, okay. Alice public key can be decrypted by means of only his own private key only. Okay. So this way we can be able to convey the message easily. Okay. So here the Alice and Bob will exchange the information and by having a secret to themselves. Okay. That means in the RSA crypto system, just we'll be making use of PQ and yeah. So here and we will be calculating the secret values, that is the public key and private key E and D. Okay, so that need to be by means of the secret values, secret that are exchanged between them, they need to create a shared secret. Okay, so this way they'll be able to convey the information. That means they'll be able to encrypt the information, and also they can be able to send the key in a secure manner. So here, say the attacker intermediately just viewing the secrets, she will be able to use the secret because he has no way of finding the shared secret that are communicated between the sender and the receiver. Okay, so this way the public key, asymmetric key cryptography or public key cryptography works on with. And yeah, so uses 2 keys as I mentioned for each person, and only the user knows about it. And this is the idea as we have discussed, that is illustrated here. The key generation procedure will produce the public and private key, and that can be used for encryption and decryption. And one thing I will ask over here is, okay, I need to ensure the confidentiality of the message. Okay, which key I need to use for encryption and which key I need to use for decryption. Okay, so I'm having the sender and here the receiver. Okay, sender here has its own private and public key, and receiver is having his own private and public key. Okay, and let me just denote SPR here and SPU here, and for receiver it is SRPR and RPU. Okay, now let me know to ensure confidentiality of the message. Okay, which key I need to use, because there are 4 keys right now. Which key I need to use for encryption and which key I need to use for decryption.
Sender is using receiver's public key to encrypt, and receiver uses private key to decrypt.
Yes, yes, okay. Yeah. So here, sender, we need to ensure the confidentiality of the message. So what we need to do here is, how the confidentiality of the message can be ensured over here is, we need to just hide the message that we are going to convey. So that is the thing we will be doing with confidentiality. So what we need to normally do here is, in order to encrypt the message, we need to use the public key of the receiver. Okay, sender will use the public key of the receiver, that is RPU. Okay, and then the person who can only decrypt the message is the receiver private key. Okay, receiver private key, he can be able to decrypt the message with his own private key, and then he can view the message. Okay, so that way we can ensure the confidentiality of the message. Okay, now I need to ensure authentication of the message. So I'm not going to dealing with any encryption or something. I'm not bothering about hiding the message or something. Okay, so now only encryption I need to go for. So in that sense, which key will be used for encryption and which key will be used for decryption?
Public to public, ma'am?
Yes.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. So I need to ensure authentication of the data. I'm not going to bother about whether my message is converted into intangible form. Okay. So I'm not bothering about encryption also. So here in such cases, how to authenticate the message? How to authenticate the sender or the receiver? I need to authenticate the sender if in the case, okay? Which key should be used? Which key should be
Public key,
used?
public key, public.
Yeah.
Sender private key.
Encrypt with the sender's private key and decrypt with the sender's public.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I'm going to just authenticate only. You see, okay. So how we can do, how I am the person have done this encryption or something like that. How I can authenticate myself. Private key is known to a particular person only, okay. To tell the identity of the person, we can use the private key of the corresponding person, right? Okay. So if I myself need to be authenticator, okay, that means the sender need to be authenticator. I will use my own private key. Okay. I will use my own private key to encrypt the message, okay, or sign the message. Okay. This is called a signing, sign the message. Okay. And since the public key is made available to all person, I am not bothering about that. Okay, message whether it is tampered, it is going to be tampered or it is going to be viewed, that I am not bothering about here. Okay, you understand? I need to verify. Okay, I need to verify my identity. Okay, to other person. Okay, the other person need to verify my identity. That is my concern. Okay, I need to authenticate myself. So for that, so the private key should be used for encryption, and the public key of the corresponding sender can be used for decryption, so that it can be verified that authenticity of the corresponding sender. Okay. So this way, the asymmetric key crypto system is useful for confidentiality and as well as authentication. And I can tell you that non-repudiation is also prevented, okay, by means of asymmetric key crypto system. That means repudiation is achieved. Non-repudiation we have talked about. We in the secret key assurance, we are no way, okay, we have no way that to verify the identity of the person. Now I'm having the method for verifying the identity of the person, because the person who owns the private key is the corresponding person. Now I have some assurance toward that. Okay. So in such cases, non-repudiation can also be achieved. Okay. So by means of the public key cryptography methodology, by means of encrypting, by means of the corresponding private key. Okay. So this is the general idea of asymmetric key, that the result is confidentiality. How it is, whenever we are encrypting the data by means of the public key, and then by using the private key, if I am going for the decryption, okay, that is the sender or the receivers, okay, the same sender or the same receivers, okay, then the result is confidentiality. The other thing is, if I need to verify my identity, okay, then what I can do is, I can use my private key for encryption, and the public key can be used for decryption. In way I can, by means, I can verify the identity of the corresponding person. Okay. So this way authentication is achieved, and this authentication is totally digital signature. Okay. Digital signature. Digital signature is different from the secret key authentication. Okay. In the secret key authentication, you can think it of, okay, the person who owns the secret key is authenticated. Like that only we are authenticating. Here, the owner's identity is also verified by means of digital signature, like a fingerprint. We can tell how we can verify the identity of the person. If the person who owns a fingerprint, okay, we can verify okay, we can definitely give verify that the person is the corresponding person by means of his fingerprint. So likewise, the digital signature also play an important role for verifying the identity of the person. Okay. So yeah. So so this asymmetric key algorithms, if I am talking about, so this is also called as public key algorithms, and the encryption key is different from the decryption key. And yeah, advantages, the key management, what we have talked about. and Diffie-Hellman key exchange protocol, which relies on the same principle, okay, of the public key cryptography mechanism. It is very much useful for transferring the key for the session key, what we have just discussed, so on, okay, and for sharing the secrets, and as well as getting the, by means of the secrets, we'll be able to get the derive the key. And both techniques are used together. Both asymmetric and symmetric key algorithms are used together because asymmetric key is very slow and more complex compared to symmetric key cryptography. So for data encryption, we'll be using the symmetric key algorithm, and for key transfer, we'll be using the asymmetric key algorithm. So the examples of this key change asymmetric algorithm is the RSA, Diffie-Hellman, and the Elgamal crypto system comes under this asymmetric algorithms. Okay, and this is the logic what it is done in the RSA technique. So the key calculation will be, I'm not going into detail over here. Simply the algorithm will look simple, but it is a very complex mathematical problem to solve in the reverse and the direction, provided that the PQ values what we are going to use, the prime numbers what we are going to take it out. Okay, so normally it will be 2048 bits, which is very much very hard to crack. Okay, so here earlier in the key generation, we will choose the prime numbers P and Q, and then we calculate N, which is nothing but P cross Q, and we will select the encryption and the decryption keys. Okay, so here by means of N. So by means of how we can calculate this, we will just normally calculate phi of n is equal to P minus 1 into Q minus 1. And then we will just select E, that is co-prime with this phi of n. Once we select this E, okay, we will select the private, this is the public key. And then the private key is calculated like D equal to E inverse mod phi of n. Okay. And this, this is the trapdoor what we are just going to give. Okay, how we are calculating is here by means of Euler's theorem, E into D mod or phi of n is equal to 1. Okay, so this is the trapdoor what we are giving to solve this discrete logarithm problem, and then by means of that we'll be able to encrypt and decrypt the messages. Okay. This RSA algorithm is the widely used cryptography, triple key cryptography algorithm for just encryption and decryption of the data. And then I think we can have a very short break of 15 minutes, and then we can proceed further about the other cryptographic primitives that are used for the blockchain, like message integrity and the hash functions. Okay, and also we can discuss about the basics of the blockchain, also how these primitives are applied in the blockchain. Okay, can we have a short break?
Mom, will you share the video or PPT?
Sure. We will share through YouTube, and we will make the participants as private, and that we are thinking to make it out.
So that will be helpful for us to practice.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure. We will make
everything we could not learn. Everything we could not learn within a stipulated time. Sometimes these videos will be helpful for us for the better learning.
Sure, sir. We will be sharing those things. Yeah, sure. All the materials also we will share. Subsequent, the videos also we will be sharing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And the link is same only, ma'am. And somebody asked about the link also. The same link we have to just follow. For all the days, the same link we need to follow.
If you have any doubts for this current session, will you have a discussion for 10
Yeah, discussion minutes? At the end we can have, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.